So by now you must have seen a lot of different reviews of the Sony A7 IV. I too have seen a lot of them and researched the camera a lot because I too am very much interested in buying it. They almost made it perfect, didn't they? They just cut back a few things, otherwise it was almost perfect. Anyways, why don't they have the 4 written like the A7 III in front of the camera? I really don't understand why they don't have that and why they went with that kind of choice. Welcome back, I am DSC, and on this channel we'll talk about filmmaking, cameras and all kinds of tech. And in this video we're going to be talking about 5 reasons why I did not like the Sony A7 IV. Released a little more than a week back, the Sony A7 IV is already looking like the new budget full frame 4K king. And with a 7K oversampled footage, it has a lot going for itself. Now from a perspective of a person who makes videos for YouTube, I'm going to give you my thoughts on what things I did not like about this camera. This isn't the flagship, so Sony had to cut through some things to make it not as appealing as other flagship cameras. And especially its main competition, I think, is the Sony A7S III, which is perfect for YouTube right now. It just doesn't have a high megapixel count when it comes to photography. So although it is very good for video, if you want like a hybrid camera, the A7S III isn't that good of a choice. This is where the Sony A7 IV comes in. Now in comparison to the last model, the A7 III, Sony has definitely knocked it out of the park, and it is a lot more better than the previous version. Especially if you're a YouTuber, you have a flip out screen now, which you did not have earlier. So the couple of things that I did not like are, now you can do 4K till 30 FPS on this camera without any crop, but if you want to do 4K 60, you'll have to go to Super 35, which is a bit of a pain, but coming from a crop sensor camera, it will be easier to get used to. But really, having a full frame camera, it doesn't feel good to be using a crop sensor like a 1.5. I think it will be a 1.5 crop when you do the 4K 60. It doesn't feel good to have that crop when you have a full frame on your camera. Besides that, this 4K 60 is going to have a 4.6K resolution. In this price range, it's going to be a better resolution. Most cameras give 4K, but this is going to give you a 4.6K readout. Now to get the shallow depth of field, I always use prime lenses. Like right now with my Canon camera, I'm using a 50mm 1.8. So to give me that shallow depth of field. So definitely I'm not going to be putting the camera, when I buy the Sony camera, I'm not going to be putting it so close to me so that I can see the LCD screen properly. But Sony had to go and put a cheap LCD screen. It is 1.69 million dots, and it isn't as good as when you compare it to A7S III or something like that. Like the other Sony cameras have a much better display. This screen is going to be manageable, but nothing in comparison to the A7S III. Now also in the A7 III, you have that problem with that when you connected an external monitor, the LCD would shut off or something like that. Sony did fix that problem in this A7 IV. Overall, having a flip out screen is great. I just wish it was a better screen. Now that they gave us 4K 60 and Super 35, they could have given us 4K 120 in Super 35, but unfortunately there is no trace of 120 in 4K. Although having that kind of flexibility and option in such a budget camera would have been amazing, but it looks like if you want 4K 120, you'll still have to buy the A7S III. It does have 1080p 120 FPS, so what I've been thinking is that I'll shoot A-roll in 4K 24 FPS, and whenever I want to use 120 FPS, I'll do that in 1080p. And then the final timeline, I'm going to export that in 1080p. Now, I've never used a CF Express card. I generally always used to buy very cheap memory cards, so this next one isn't going to affect me that much, but you really do feel good when you have all of the features that you want. So I would have liked if they had dual CF Express card slots, so whenever I was doing a professional shoot, I would have had the option to have backups while I'm on the shoot. But no, they just have one CF Express card slot and one normal SD card slot. So this camera is going to come out at $2499, and that comes out to be around 1,90,000 something in Indian rupees, but I'm pretty sure the release price is going to be above 2 lakhs. And with the kit lens, that's just the price for the body. With the kit lens, it could go near, like, you can expect 2,30,000 something. It's coming out in December in USA. If we can get it as soon as that in India, that will be great. But it looks like that it's going to be costlier than the A7 III when that released, the previous model. You do get a lot more for your money in this camera, but the price hike with all the chip shortage and everything is justified, but not a good for you. Now, although this camera has a lot going for it, I really thought I'll make a video about things that I did not like, because this camera seems almost too perfect for people starting out on YouTube. Unless and until you're not very nitpicky about the things that you don't like, this seems a well enough camera for even if you want to do professional shoots, or if you just want to film yourself like I'm doing for your YouTube channel. But I still think that this camera is in direct competition with the Canon R6, so it's tough to decide whether to like leave the Canon ecosystem or not. That is the toughest question I'm facing right now, because this camera looks all well and good and I really like it. I definitely like it more than the R6, but once you get into the ecosystem and you have lenses and stuff, it's very hard to leave that. So let me know if you are in the market to buy a camera. Are you looking at the A7 IV? If you are in India, are you waiting for it, or are you just going to buy something like the R6, which is already available right now in India? Whatever you have to say, leave it down in the comments. Like the video, subscribe if you want to talk more about cameras. I'll be putting out more videos like this, definitely about some other camera the next time. And yeah, for time being, it looks like I'm going to buy the Sony A7 IV as my next main camera for work. So more videos about the A7 IV in the future. I am DSC. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.